Hey guys, welcome to Reddit Brew. You know the drill. We're back at it again with the r/entitledpeople Reddit stories. So let's just jump into it, shall we? Lying ex gets greedy, files for child support, and ends up with nothing. So back in March last year, I had tried settling with my ex for $100 above guideline, what state law recommends based on incomes and how often each parent has the children. Early last year, after we signed a stipulation agreement where I had 35% custody timeshare, I offered more because we make similar salaries. She actually makes slightly more and felt bad because the amount wasn't that high. Long story, but prior to this, she was withholding the kids from me to try and set a precedent that I was an every other weekend dad. That also did not go well for her, but she got greedy and thought negotiations were taking too long and that she could get more. So she ghosted me and filed with child support with an old address for me. DCSS tried super hard to push through a very high child support amount based on 0% custody and 0% income for her. Luckily, I had mail forwarding set up and put my phone number into the DCSS website. They called me and I was able to file an answer within the allotted time and stop them from defaulting me. It then took 8 months to get a hearing. The entire time, my ex could have been getting paid if she had settled. During this period, she lost some custody due to things unrelated to child support, so timeshare changed to 50-50. In her filings and at the hearing, she lied about the timeshare, trying to use a very old order that was only in place for about 2 months to claim I only had 22% timeshare to get back pay. During back pay period, I actually had the kids 45% of the time. I made sure to meticulously file all the relevant court orders, proof that I was exercising time with the kids, and a custody calendar I had kept. The outcome of all of this was after almost a year, the judge ordered 0 back pay and 0 child support going forward. I am so relieved. My ex still refuses to pay half of any of the unreimbursed medical fees, but whatever. I pay them, just as I provide school supplies, extracurricular payments, and purchase their clothes. So don't worry about her not being able to provide for the kids. She just bought our older son some $200 Jordans and a $100 lizard to replace the one she killed. Now she can't even buy Geico with your money. Was supposed to buy Shorty Tyco with your money. Was gonna try and get Lipo with your money. Walking around looking like Michael with your money. Cringe. I'll stop singing Kanye now. I offered my ex to only pay $200 a month in child support so our son and I could just walk away. He said no, that I was an idiot for thinking he had to pay child support and told me to take it to court. I did, and based on his income, he has to pay $350 a month and an extra $75 a month because I provide our son's health insurance. He didn't show up to court, but I heard from some of his friends that the look on his face when he got the papers in the mail was priceless. I love how these two stories were like entitled people, choosing beggars, and malicious compliance all in one. A beautiful trio. He needed to learn to be afraid of women. I used to go to a certain 24-hour gas station close to my house around 3 or 4 a.m. regularly because that's when I got off work and not much else was open. It was usually the same guy working. He was always friendly and not really creepy seeming. One night, I was just getting some honey and he told me not to worry about paying. It was odd, but I figured maybe he had already counted his drawer or was mad at his boss. Whatever. Then he said, "Hold on. I want to show you something," and started walking toward the back. I followed him. Not nervous, but I prefer a good amount of personal space, so I stayed about 4 to 5 feet behind him. He opened the door to the back room, and I could see from where I was that it was just a stock room, and it was mostly empty. So when he stepped in the doorway and motioned for me to follow him, I stopped and asked what he wanted to show me. Dude lunged at me, grabbed my arm, and tried to yank me into the room. Fortunately for me, I am really strong. A lot stronger than I look. And I grabbed him back, yanked him away from the room toward the cameras, and kind of threw him into the wall. I said, "Thanks for the honey, and I left. At first I was mad, then I was depressed about it. I thought about calling the cops, but in the place I lived, they didn't even show up for gunshots half the time. I thought about calling his boss, but he had been there for years, and a lot of times these things don't get taken seriously. I didn't know what I was gonna do, but the next day I went in with my phone, clearly videotaping him, and when he saw me, he smiled. He liked that I had him on video and called me honey and flexed his muscles for the camera. WTF? He literally just thought that what he did was cool until I started talking, and I let him know that in no uncertain terms was I angry. His response was a nervous, "Oh, are you gonna get your boyfriend to come do something to me?" That made me even more mad. Like, why wasn't he afraid of me? He already knows I'm stronger than him, but he had such little regard for women that he thinks what he did was okay, and the only thing to worry about is if I got a man involved. The more I thought about it, the more I started to worry about other women to cross his path. Not all women are as strong as I am, and somebody else may have wound up in that back room. I thought he needed to learn that a woman can be scary, and not feel so comfortable just casually assaulting us. I didn't want to hit him and go to jail, so I made a plan, and it was a fun one. I kept going in at random intervals, sometimes multiple days in a row, sometimes not for weeks, sometimes after work, sometimes after a performance, dressed in any kind of mask, or strange, dirty, sweaty clothes that I had worn on stage. Every time was a new, demented scenario. The first time, I put a handful of coins in my mouth. Yeah, it's gross, but worth it. It was well over the amount that honey cost. I walked in staring at him with a blank look on my face, and grabbed a honey, never breaking eye contact. He was not happy to see me this time. He was on the phone, and I walked toward the counter, but stayed about 10 feet away, and just stared. He tried to wave me to the register and cash me out while he was on the phone. He really didn't want to interact with me, and my dead stare started to creep him out pretty quickly. It took about 5 minutes for him to get off the phone. He was weirded out by this time, but he couldn't really call the cops or do anything because I had him on video admitting to assaulting me. I held my ground and my stare. It was so hard not to smile as he got more and more nervous, but I held on for about 10 solid minutes, then slowly walked up to the counter, opened my mouth, and just let all the coins fall out. I stared blankly for another few seconds and walked out with my honey. Every time was something equally crazy. Once, I just kept opening candy at the counter, taking one bite, then dropping it and saying, "It doesn't taste good. Why doesn't it taste good? I need it to taste good." Then I left a 20 on the counter and walked out. I'm not a thief. One time I just cheerfully sang a Cramp song and rearranged an entire aisle. Every time he tried to tell me to stop, I death glared him and sang louder. I visited him often for around 6 months. Sometimes I would act like he was my best friend and just hang out at the counter, telling him random nonsensical stories. Sometimes I would act like I was so heartbroken and sad about like the donut display or something, but I never ever let him speak. I would change my expression to a murder stare and keep talking, but make my voice very loud and firm until he shut up. Eventually he developed a twitch, and I could tell he was truly miserable, so I felt done. My boyfriend really wanted to see this dude, so I brought him in for one last visit. Did a whole introduction like we were buddies. We both leaned on the counter drinking soda and eating candy for about 30 minutes. It was earlier than usual, so a few other people were in and out. We were cheerful as I told him that I felt like he didn't like me as much as he used to. I told my boyfriend in front of him, he used to like me a lot. He liked me so much that he tried to drag me into that back room over there. You gotta really like someone to do that. I asked him why he didn't like me as much as he used to. Told him I felt like I have been a really good friend. I even come to see him all the time. I even eat candy that doesn't taste good and help arrange shelves and sing him songs. I acted so hurt. So my boyfriend acted really offended and asked him why he doesn't like me as much. He knew better than to speak by now, so it was a real deer in the headlights scenario. As we were leaving, I said, "Oh, I have a present for you, but I forgot it. It's okay, I'll just bring it to your house. Don't worry, I wasn't following you or anything. I was just driving behind you and watching where you go. Bye." Then I never went back. I don't have any way of knowing if it worked, but my hope is that next time this POS yes wants to put his hands on a woman that doesn't want it. He remembers the 6 months of hell from the last one. Edit. Yes, if he would have succeeded in his attempt, I would have called the police, but an alleged arm grab in an off-camera area of a gas station is not a big priority in a high-crime area already well known for non-responsive police. It would have just validated his opinion that he did nothing wrong and done more harm than good. I actually read one time about some actress in the 50s that said when she got mugged, she did a genuine heartfelt Tarzan yell at them and they just ran away. I've actually always heard that if you're trying to get a predator to go away, just act insane. Even force yourself to vomit if you need to. It's sad because I'm sure that many of my women counterparts have heard this, and it's sad that women even need to be given this advice. But it's good to know that in some circumstances, such as this story, it will work. Stay safe out there, guys, and not just women, all of you. But anyway, that is all from me today. I hope you enjoyed these entitled people petty revenge stories. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. I truly appreciate when you do, and I will see you in the next Reddit story. Bye!